Good afternoon to you all. Welcome to our first conversation of the ESPONTânEO, the International Improv Festival organized in Portugal. That happens in Sintra. For this conversation, we'll have three guests, starting JStar from USA. JStar has been an improviser for 14 years. And he owns his own theatre in Atlanta, the Basement Theatre.
The Basement Theatre.
Thank you very much, JStar, for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
We have Donna-iuliana. Donna she's natural from Romania. She's been an improviser for 3 years. She starts in UK, right? But now she belongs to a company, the Ghost Ship from Belgium. And this company, they performed yesterday, and it was a great show. Thank you so much. Actually, for both, JStar performed as well. And the other guest is Marco Graça. He's from the Portuguese company Instantâneos. He has been an improviser for 4 years. And thank you very much, Marco, as well, for coming and for organizing the festival as well. So the idea of this first conversation is to understand the differences between these different countries, like Portugal, the countries in the Middle Europe, and the USA, regarding the know-how of the audience, their expectations, and also the normal procedures of an improviser. How do they start, and what they have to do to become an improviser and to get on stage. Maybe I would start with you, JStar. Could you explain to us how it is in the USA? How is the normal procedure of an actor getting in the improv world? And how long it will take to get on stage, and how many, I don't know, how many lessons or how many workshops they have to receive before they are really prepared to get on stage?
Yeah, it's very different in all the different theaters. The way my theater works is we look for talent from our classes first of all. We have 3 levels of classic, basically, that we offer to the public, and we watch our classes for talent. Sometimes you just see talent right away, and you're like, yeah, that's going to be an improviser right there. That's somebody that I want in my company. Sometimes you think, you know, this person could get good eventually. And then there's some that just have natural talent, and you're just like, oh my God. I mean, I've literally had somebody in 3 classes and then asked them to perform a show because they just got it, you know. But it depends. There are other theaters around that it takes forever to try to get on stage, or they will never get on stage. They have a set cast, and people just sort of know you're not going to perform there because their cast is their cast. We have currently 16 actors on our cast, and we play usually a 4-person format in 6 shows a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 8 and 10. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday would have 4 different people working. So anytime the audience comes, they can see a different combination of people. And so along with improv, that adds to the mix of it. Right now in the States tonight, we have a girl performing that's gone through 3 classes, 3 levels of classes, and I thought that she seems pretty good, so this is going to be her first try with a real show in front of an audience, other than her graduation shows. Usually watching our classes. The other thing that happens is people have taken classes elsewhere, or they've performed with other troupes, and they contact me like, how do I get in, you know, on your cast? we let them come and sit in on classes as an audition process, which we find is better because we've had open auditions before and they're terrible. People come and they just, it's mind-blowing to me that someone would come to audition for an improv theater and never have taken an improv class. Many don't even know what improv is. But the common phrase at the, you know, when you say, what's your history? They go, oh, my friends think I'm funny. Great. You know, my friends think I'm handy, but I don't just pop into a surgery room and say, no, I got this. Like, yeah, I'm ready without medical training. I cannot understand the concept of somebody just, you know, doing that, that weirdly, brazenly. I don't know, it's weird. And they're always terrible. You know, like I said, like sometimes they come to class and they have it, but I think just the mere fact that they're coming to a class to learn something shows that they are the right kind of person for improv. Anytime I see somebody that's in a professional level and they don't want to take improv classes or think that they know it all, that's when you know that person is not going to be a good improviser or a bully improviser if they're not willing to learn, because that's every improv thing that we do, we are learning through that process. So anyway, we invite people to come and sit in on workshops, so we see them, how they play with other people. It's not as crazy as an audition. People don't get freaked out by it. You get to see them play with new people and veteran people, and then we go from there. Like, you know, we can decide, yes, you're great, and come to our classes. They do have to take our classes because our level 1, we teach the games that we play in our 8 o'clock shows. Level 2, we teach long-form structure, and then level 3, we actually teach the formats that we use at the theater. So.
And each level, it means 1 year?
No, actually, they're only 8 weeks long.
Okay.
But what happens is people take them over and over and over again to really cement it in. Our players come back and take classes all the time just to refresh themselves, and you know, also they like to come and see, oh, let me see who looks good in these classes, you know. So usually almost every one of our company members will sit in on one class of each round just to see who's out there that's possibly good, and you know, like they'd be like, oh, that girl was cool. Okay. Like, you know, are you looking
let
at
me
her?
ask you this: how long does it take normally, since you select someone to start to work with, until you think that that actor is prepared to go on stage and to improvise with you?
It really is. It's so variable on the person, because some people get it right away. You know, if we teach them the form and they're on it, then you know, of course, I'll invite them to play. But then some people, like, it'll take longer, and it's not that they're a bad improviser or anything. It's just that you want to just make sure that you really understand how this structure works, what works for the theater, and how we as a theater play, because I think every theater plays a little differently. Mm-hmm. We have a rule, like for our short form stuff, the scene has to be good on its own without a game strategically or whatever. It's still going to be a strong scene, characters, relationships, that kind of thing. So it's about just making sure if the person knows how to do all that, then.
Do you think it has to do with common sense?
Yes. Oh gosh, yes. Yeah, we were just talking about in workshop that improvisers, we're the smartest people on the planet. We really are. You're welcome. Because you know, in the real world, like, everybody's like, oh, actors, oh, directors, oh, writers. We do all of that immediately on stage at the same time. Like, it's the pinnacle of this. You know, we don't do it now, and it takes a huge brain to do that. You have to be up on an event. You have to deal with all the human nature. There's so much that we have to know to do this job well. So yeah, smart people do improv.
Okay, you were talking about the way you select people on your company, and I would like you to ask, and let's try to be a little more brief on this.
Oh, sorry.
On this No, it's okay. It's our fault because we have 2 more guests, and I would like to see after if we have any questions from the audience. You were explaining how do you select people from your company. How was your beginning?
Oh, okay. I'll tell you quickly. I was an actor all my life. I've done everything. I moved to New York, and then I lived there for 4 years. And when I moved back to Atlanta, I wanted to take an acting comedy class. I was doing stand-up comedy. So I'm in New York. I was acting, doing different stuff. So I was like, I searched acting comedy class, and this group, Laughing Matters from Atlanta, who had been, I had a talk show many years ago, and they had been on my talk show, and they came up on the search. So I was like, oh, I'll take their class. Didn't know what improv was really. Like, we had some improv back in acting school, but it was, you know, that kind of improv. Took the class and immediately knew this is what I want to do. Took their classes over and over and over again until they finally said, we can't teach you anymore, you know it all. I got cast by another improv troupe, and it was weird and it was stilting, and they had like list of like, this is the game we'll play, this is who will play it, this is the question you ask to get the suggestion for this game, and it was so like, you know, whatever, that I was like, I kept trying to push. I was like, you know, maybe we could do it this way, maybe we could do it this way, maybe we could do it this way. And then finally I said, why should I make them change when I can do it myself? And so in 2004 I opened my own theater and just said, if I'm so smart and know how to do it, I'll do it. And so for better or worse, that's what I did.
So you open your own theater 4 years after you start doing improv?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Crazy. But improv, like, yes, and.
Yes, it is. Okay, Donna, can you tell us a little bit about your own experience? I know that you started doing UK. So did you take classes?
Yeah,
how was it?
Actually,
and then how does it happen that you go to Brussels and start to work with those cheap?
Because actually I wasn't living in the UK, I was in London for the weekend. I wanted to do something fun. And I saw this description of a workshop, improv, and it said, you don't have to be smart, you don't have to be funny, you don't have to be creative. And I thought,
lies.
It's for me, really. And it's true, because ultimately, if you think about it, if you try to be smart, if you try to be funny, if you try to be creative, improv is not going to work. It's not going to work. But of course, you are all those things, and you just don't know it. And and that was it, and I was hooked. And ever since, then I started taking lots of workshops, and I was going back and forth. So I was living in Brussels, going back and forth to London, taking workshops. And then at some point, I decided that I was sick of traveling, so I got my good friend Steve Rowe from Hoopla, who is also part of the Music Box, to come to Brussels and teach a workshop. And when he did that, it was great, and I met some wonderful improvisers from the American Theatre Company in Brussels, who had just started doing more and more improv, and had an improv branch now, because the American Theatre Company is a theatre company per se, and I met wonderful people, and then through that I started getting involved with the ATC, and after a retreat, an improv retreat, with the members of the Ghost Sheep, we decided to start a troupe, and we did. We've been performing together for almost 2 years.
Pretty well. So what I can read of this is that in the US, United States, and in the Central Europe, you have already companies that they've been working in improv for a decade or more. So it's quite easy for an actor to look for a company and to start to get lessons. So Marco, how is it in Portugal? As you don't have, as far as I know, we don't have any Portuguese improv teachers. Or actually, we have a company.
We have a company right now that that teaches improvisers are doing a regular training course on improvisation. I think it's 3 months training course on improvisation. But the reality in Portugal is really quite different from what you've shared, because the improvisation movement is right now starting to grow. So this festival is also the festival we're in. It's also a reflex of that growing. We have no older company performing improv beside short form. The oldest improv company has, I think 11, 12 years, but it's just a show. It's not a company that kept on creating or schools or. So right now the new companies are really investing on education and getting to know what improv is. The thing is, here in Portugal we didn't have, for starters, no one that could lead us, no one Portuguese that could lead us by giving us education on improv. So what happened was, in our case, in Instantâneo, I personally took at my own risk, because I really wanted to get to know more about improv, what it was, beside the funny games I saw on TV or on YouTube. I wanted to know more about it. So I went to Spain to a weekend to have an improv training for a weekend. I was completely out of my mind, blown away for the first impression. But I had a problem with the language, so I didn't. What I thought was, if I could have this trainer in Portugal and be in my own waters with my own language, then it would be great. And because I work as an actor as well with and many other friends. We got it together. We managed to have this trainer, this Spanish trainer, very experienced trainer here in Portugal. He gave us this first workshop, and from that point on, we said, okay, this is just the tip of the iceberg. And we started searching, and we discovered that improvisation was a new universe by itself. And that's when we started to get in touch with improvisers from Europe, from South America, from the US, and we said, okay, we got ourselves some work to do. And it's been 3 years now that we've been having trainers from a little bit around the world to share experiences with us. But the thing is, when someone really wants to start improv in Portugal, it's going to look around, it's going to see a little bit of a desert. Now, we are, by our part, humble part that we can share is once a year at least, you have trainers from Europe and around the world that can share their experience, or at least instigate people to get to know more. And do it on safe ground with someone that really is experienced. And you have Improváveis that right now are doing the only training course on improv on a regular basis.
And that's an initiation course. From Improváveis. Yes. So the companies or the improvisers that have 3 or more years of experience in Portugal, if they want to have to get some training, or they call some teachers from foreigner teachers to come to the country, or they have to go outside?
Well, in my opinion, it's just an opinion. In my opinion, it's better to call the trainers into Portugal, because what I found out is that we have, what it could be a problem, it's a huge potential, which is most of the improvisers never came to Portugal. They don't know Portugal. So when someone finally opens the door and say, hey, listen, we are trying to do something here. Everyone up to now, in 3 years of festival, in 3 years of life of Instantâneo, no one said really, no, I've been there and it's quite difficult for me to go there. Everyone said immediately, never been to Portugal, want to go there. So it's a huge potential that we are now discovering. And it's good to bring companies here, because I think Portugal can also offer another thing, which is, if the companies know that they can perform here, for example, like last night, Ghost Ship and JStar, you can perform in English, and the audience that will come to the show, most of the audience will understand everything. Just as the Spanish companies They come here, they did in last year's shows, and the audience understands everything. We are very open to languages.
Yeah.
So it's not all opening the doors just for people who want to know, but it's also opening the doors for companies from abroad that really want to, if they're in Europe and they want to come here, they know, okay, in Portugal there's a movement start, we can go there and do our show. So pretty much that's what we're trying to do, and I think Portugal is very open, and people are starting to get interested beside the games, beside the short form shows. People are now starting to see, okay, there's so many other things that you can do with improvisation.
Yes.
Okay. Talking about the crowd, and I don't know if anyone in the audience would like to ask anything to our guests. If you do, just raise your hand and I will.
One at a
Just
time.
throw a bottle at the person you want to talk to. And
One
then,
at a time.
Yeah.
And what about the know-how of the audience, the expectations that the audience have? Because I believe that normally the audience don't really know what's going on. I mean, the normal audience. I'm not talking about people in the audience that already know a few stuff about improv. But we have been talking about short form and long form. This basically will divide the different kinds of improv in the improv world, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. The short form, you look for the punchline. It's to get some laughs from the audience, and in the long form, you never know what's going to happen. It's theater, and it might be comedy, it might be drama. You don't know what's going to happen. So, how is the know-how? What do you think is the know-how, JStar, of the general audience in the U.S.? Do they understand these differences, or do they just look for the for laughs?
Our audiences are learning. Improv is really growing in the U.S. as well. Like currently in Atlanta, in December, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of improv in Atlanta since the first improv show was performed. Our audiences come, half of the new people who come to our shows have no idea what improv is. They just search fun Atlanta, or comedy Atlanta, and then they found us and they said, "We'll go." A lot of people think it's stand-up, just somebody telling jokes, one person after another, and they don't know. Some people know Whose Line Is It Anyway from UK or America, and there's been a couple other improv TV shows that they've tried to work, and that's always hard. It's very hard to film the experience of improv because there's such a momentary, fleeting experience. It's about this group of improvisers on this stage with that audience and that weird suggestion, and this will never happen again. And to watch it because you're not part of that room, you don't feel that energy, and you really just it's intangible unless you are right there. And then when you're there, it's awesome. But most of our audiences, we do short form at 8 o'clock, and then we do long form at 10 o'clock. If we ever have open seats, we allow anybody from the 8 o'clock show to stay and see a 10 o'clock show. And what happens is they normally migrate. They'll be regular 8 o'clock customers. They come all the time, and then they see a 10 o'clock show and they go, "Oh, okay, well, there's more to it. There's this is kind of cool. It's a different thing." And they tend to graduate up to the long form shows, which leaves space for the new people coming in. The thing with short form is it's not necessarily maybe meant to be funny. I mean, all the improv games were created by Viola Spolin to teach acting to children, and then they got changed through the years to become these things. And of course, with Europe, you're blending the Commedia dell'arte long form of stuff with these games, and even like in Commedia dell'arte, they had Lazzi. I don't know how many people know the Commedia dell'arte, but Lazzi are like little gimmicks that always work and always make the audience laugh. And so when they went into a town, they would split up, talk to the baker, talk to the people all over, and then get those, improvise this story of the town without saying it was of the town, and then through it they would use the Lotzi to get the audience laugh, but then they were also telling this bigger story. So they really had a combo of what it goes on in improv. When you play an improv game, when you have those set Lotzi, let's do it in alphabetical order, that makes the audience laugh because it gives this structure of tension, you know, like, can they do it? Can they, you know, say a sentence with A and then B and C and make it make sense? Can they do it in rhyme? Can they do whatever? That just naturally gives it that funny feel. And because you're doing one scene that's A to Z and one scene that's rhyming and one scene that's guessing, that is what, you know, we refer to short form. And then long form is just telling one story off of one suggestion. It's just one long thing, even though you have several scenes. And there's lots of Lotzi, you know.
So you think
lots of Lotzi that we use, yeah.
So you think that the audience firstly look for comedy in improv,
yeah.
and then they realize that it's not just comedy; it can be such much more. But do you think that when the audience discovers that, they like what they see? I mean, they come again to see a new show of a long form, or do you think that normally the generally audience, they prefer the comedy and period?
That's a hard question, because I think a lot of people have different tastes. You know, our motel format lends itself to being comedic and also serious. But Liz Allen taught me this a long time ago. She was the artistic director of Second City, Las Vegas, one of the teachers at I.O. in Chicago, where I did most of my studying. She talks about Newton's third law of physics. Everything in nature has an equal and opposite reaction. So in long form or in comedy, if we go for the truth of the situation, just really try to be honest with it, nature will throw it. And then if we try to make that truthful, and we like that, it feels natural because we're doing those ups and downs, the opposite things. Just like every movie that you like, romantic comedies, they have, you know, the weepy parts, and then they have the hilarious parts, and we love that. Dramedy is the sort of the new thing. Every good play written has moments of comedy and moments of truth, and we like that. We're human. It's the reason Thai food is so good, because it balances the four flavors. You know, you get the sour, the savory, the sweet, and the salty, and it's like, oh, I get it. Instead of parsing them out in, you know, appetizer, entree, dessert thing, improv can be that mix of all at the same time, and then so I think people wouldn't know that they're coming to and enjoying drama. Most people come to laugh. Like, you want to go out and have a good time. Yeah. You know, you don't go out and say like, oh, I really want to cry. I really want to be disgusted at a character. You know, you just say, I want to have a good time.
Yeah.
And we've always said that, like, we don't really care if they're laughing the whole time, but we want to see them leaning forward and being engaged in what's happening on stage. And that's fine. As long as they're interested, then we're doing our job, you know.
Donna, do you think that when you are performing a long form format, and if for some reason it's not as funny as it could be, do you think that the audience will feel that is strange? Do you feel that the audience are like, so when's the laughing part? They're waiting for that, or they just go with the flow? And at the end, they will have their opinion if they like it or not.
I think that it depends what you're doing waiting for the laugh. Because like JStar was saying, if it's riveting, if it could be sad, it could be just strange, or it could be mysterious. And if there's something like that, then they will not care that they're waiting for the laugh, and they won't feel that they're waiting for anything. I don't have a problem with that. I feel very comfortable doing long form because I don't feel I have to go on stage and get the laugh immediately, and then laughs happen more often, let's say. So I don't worry about that. And in our experience in Brussels, where we perform long form, JStar's format hotel, we've never had anything but positive feedback about the shows, and we had those like nice flows of highs and lows, which were comedy, dramedy.
But do you have more audience for short form than for long form?
No, I wouldn't say that.
That's great.
It depends. The numbers that we have depend more of the day of the week, the location, the venue, whatever's going on at the same time, football games, matches. No connection between short form and long form.
Okay.
And also because in many of our shows we do both. So we do long form and then end with some games to end on a...
Like last night. On the festival.
Because there's something. I mean, there's a lot to be said about short form. I don't want to sound like doing long form is short form. Because there's that dynamics and that power in short form that really there's a lot of adrenaline, and you do some short form games and you go, oh, wow. And
it's almost like doing sport. Because there's rules and things and time and and then the other is like more like the acting thing, I think.
Yeah.
But both are fun.
Okay. So, and Marco, here in Portugal, as you said, the first company started doing improv here, it was about 12, 13 years ago, something like that. And they were doing short form for a long time. And only, I would say, 1 or 2 years ago, we started to have companies in Portugal trying to work on long form. So we had like 10 years in Portugal where the improv was only short form. So do you think that the audience now, when they have a contact with long form, they will think that it's strange, it's not what they're looking for? What's the acceptance of the audience?
It's quite difficult to say what the audience thinks about long form, because I think it's really so small, the number of companies doing it or presenting it, that I think it's still difficult to say what the audience thinks about, or if the audience even knows the difference between long form or short form. Like JStar was saying, I think people just go out to have a laugh and to have a good time. It's more of an improviser thing, this long and short form. It's more of an improviser than for the audience, because mostly if I say to my mom, look, today I have a short form, she will go like, yeah, but in the end, clean your room. It's not that the audience really cares, but cares about the technical terms of this short and long. The thing is, I think people in Portugal, mostly in this kind of context that we live here, got used to, let me say this without sounding presumptuous. Yes, I'll be presumptuous. Got in touch. Improvisers or shows or TV shows or YouTube shows, playing the game by the game, it's a game. You see 3 actors on stage just playing that, 4 or 5 actors on stage playing a game, and in the end it was just a game. And I think people got used to that really fast kind of shows. And when this new movement, this new improv company starting to growing up and starting to be more conscious about what the technique behind improvisation was, I think there was a change in the audience. People go for a laugh, but
they
now
stay for the importance.
It's a different laugh now.
Yeah.
Of course, it's much more commercial to do 4-minute scene with a really fast game, and everyone laughs. But what I think it's like a shot you really want to get drunk, you don't want to enjoy the what you're drinking.
Exactly.
So I think now the companies that are working are heading more for the, come on, I will make you drunk, but at least enjoy me for a little bit more instead of a shot. I think that this is the main difference. And by my own experience, but it's such a little experience, what I can say is that with my company, we start a couple of months ago with a new show that had no games at all. Well, not these short form games that everyone knows, but we're starting to do this show, and because sometimes it was like a more dramatic scene, we were not preparing to be funny or whatever. What happens, and we had a change of audience, because normally we had audience in our shows with really raw short form shows, people that were more kind of drunk in a bar and oh, need a suggestion, your mother, and it would be like this. And then when we started to change also the way we were showing to people, the audience started to change.
Yeah.
Different kind of audience. We had people that didn't like at all what we were doing as short form, and when they saw us doing that, they were like, oh, yeah, I prefer this one. It's so.
And the opposite happens as well?
People that goes to see the long form shows, they don't like the short. I think
yeah, it's an art, and like, you know, some people like pop art, some people like impressionism.
Yes.
It's all art. It's just which do you prefer? And talking about the shot versus the wine or whatever, so nice, because it is that, like, if you go to a wine tasting party and you taste a lot of wines, you talk about that wine for a long time. If you drink a bunch of shots and just get drunk, you're like, we were so drunk.
Yeah.
You don't talk about, oh, the flavor of the tequila mixed with the lime. You know, like you don't talk about the shots. You just talk about the drunk, which is fine because it was a fun time or whatever. That was what you were looking for. But, you know, if you're interested in
in the next day, you will only remember the name of the shot.
Yeah.
You won't remember how it tasted like.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was one of, I'm the king of metaphors.
I don't know, I can metaphor you out any day. I'm like a...
Okay, we're done now.
God has spoken about metaphors.
Okay, so I think the music is definitely going down, so we should get out of here. Thank you so much, JStar. Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you so much, Marco. We'll have 2 more talks here next weekend, right? Marco?
Yes. We will have 2 more conversations that will be in Portuguese this time. We are waiting for confirmation of the guests, but the next one will be about improv and comedy.
Never shall they meet.
So we are going to put in confront these two realities, or are they just one? Well, we'll see. We are waiting for the confirmation. I will not announce the name of the guests because one of them is really famous and it's me. And no, one of them is really famous and it's very connected with comedy and he did not confirm yet, but he's very interested in coming. And the last one will happen on the 31 of May, and we will talk about Comédia dell'arte as the root of improv as well, and we will have specialists also on Comédia dell'arte to speak a little bit about it without being boring.
Okay.
Hey,
That's what we hope.
Okay, and tonight at the will that we deserve it. Thank you so much to you all. Thank you so much for the audience. Thank you.
And that's it.